Ever since Eddie Howe has taken over Newcastle with his high, intense press and 4-3-3, it's been nothing but success with this team, getting Champions League football, also giving the fans a new sense of life with this aggressive style, and players like Kieran Trippier, Joelinton, Callum Wilson, obviously Bruno as well, all absolutely thriving off this. And today we're going to recreate it inside of FM23. Now, we did go into this season with the new signing Tonali. We also added in some of the rumoured transfers which I actually think could go ahead, and the first one is going to be Harvey Barnes, previously of Arsenal Kieran Tierney, Crystal Palace's Guahai, and lastly of Lille, Jonathan David. And I really do think this is a signing which would be really helpful for Newcastle at the moment. But in terms of how we done, we actually done quite well. We won the treble, that being the Champions League, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Now, this Champions League we are going to watch later on, so don't you worry. But the Premier League also, we were very close to winning. You can see here, 26 wins, 5 draws and 7 losses. Not too far behind Man City. For the Data Hub stats, also quite good in our favour as well, coming in at 2.79 goals per game, conceded of 0.97, a pass completion of 85.63, a tackle win ratio of 75.4, and just over 21 shots a game. We did have some standout games, that being an 8-1 win over a Shakhtar side, a 3-0 win against Napoli, which I thought was quite a good result considering their team, a 4-1 win against Real Madrid, and of course, the 2-0 win against PSG in the Champions League final against a full-strength side. This is how the tactic actually lines up then. So it is going to start off with a goalkeeper on defend on the default instructions. There's going to be a wing-back on the right on support, on cross from the byline, cross aim centre, dribble more and stay wider. And essentially, this is going to give Kieran Trippier, obviously the main man we discussed at the start of the video, he gets up this field with absolute ease. And also, he's not going to be overcommitted to the point where we're going to be too vulnerable at the back, because we have got to take into consideration, despite being a very good team, we're not one of the top 4 technically when it comes to the actual squad quality. Next to him, we have a ball-playing defender on defend. In this scenario, it was going to be Guahai who played it, who was actually one of the standout performers in the Champions League. Did not disappoint here. It's going to be Kieran Trippier who gets the first goal coming in. It's a very lucky goal for Guahai, so when I say a star player, more of a contribution, but still a very impressive win. And next to him, of course, it was usually going to be Botman, another ball-playing defender on the default. Nothing really too special there. And on the left-hand side, we have got Kieran Tierney as a wing-back on support, on cross-aim centre, and also stay wider. So these guys really doing the job. This back line here, consistent of Tierney, Botman, Guahai and Trippier, and obviously including Pope in that as well, is an absolutely incredible back four. And I think genuinely, I don't know what you think, that is one of the best back lines in the Premier League, in my opinion. Absolutely incredible. Over to the midfield then. The first one is going to be a deep line playmaker on defend. And in this scenario, it is going to be Bruno who filled that role. He's going to be on defend and tackle harder. And next to him, we actually opted for Tonali in a box-to-box role on support, on tackle harder. Now, Tonali is the real perfect player for this Newcastle team. He's hard-working, he's got to get stuck in, and for me, he suits a box-to-box really, really well. Now, obviously, we've seen things about him. Is he actually happy to be there? When you see the videos of him first joining, he looks a little bit iffy, to be honest, and obviously, he didn't even want to leave Milan, so kind of interested to see how this transfer plays out. For Newcastle's hope, I kind of hope they do well, but I don't know if he's actually going to be a player who enjoys playing in the Premier League. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments. And the last player in that midfield three is going to be Joelinton, and again, he's going to be a Metzala on attack, on dribble more, and tackle harder. Now, this guy is one of my favourite Newcastle players because for many seasons, he was getting stick upon stick upon stick because he wasn't performing. He found a new role in midfield, and he's absolutely thriving. And this midfield three now of Joelinton, Tonali, and Bruno is a really solid midfield three. Over to the left now, an inside forward on attack. In this scenario, it is going to be Harvey Barnes, who majority played most of the games there. That is going to be roam from position and also sit narrower. This essentially is going to be the perfect, pretty much the ideal role, because he is going to roam in these sort of areas here. And obviously it was a great opportunity for Kieran Tierney to go forward, and the exact same thing happens on the right-hand side now with the inverted winger on attack, who also is going to be told to sit narrower, meaning that he is going to fill this pocket of space here, and it gives Trippier the opportunity to run up the field and really cause some damage, and that's exactly how we want to be playing. And lastly, we are going to have a pressing forward on attack, Isaac, who scored 52 goals in this entire season, and he is told to pass it shorter and shoot more often, and he had one hell of a game here. He managed to pick up 3 goals against Real Madrid. Now, usually if it was against Luton or something, a hat-trick's a hat-trick, whatever, but when you're scoring a hat-trick against Real Madrid, you can see exactly what the hype is about this, guys. We just scored one hell of a goal there from Harvey Barnes, linking it into Tonali. But the rest of the couple more goals we're going to see are going to be all from Isaac. And he literally, he can score any area of the field, it seems. It can be set pieces. It can be like sort of, you know, one-on-one play. It can be absolutely anything. He gets the goals pretty much done on every occasion. And there's one thing which I love about this system as well. It's not the most elegant to watch. It's not tiki-taka all the time, but it does get you goals. And then, of course, we do need some team instructions to go alongside of those. So it is going to be starting off, by the way, with a positive mentality. And this is all built around the pressing style. A fairly wide when it comes to the width, pass into space, because this way we are going to get those more direct runs being used, and it's just a really good way of playing and suiting this tactic down to a T. Playing out from the back is something obviously that we do want to be doing as well. A shorter passing directness, because personally when I've tried this with slightly shorter and pass into space, it's way too direct. So having it on shorter has that nice balance. So playing it around the midfield, when there is a running behind, you do use it. Obviously, Eddie Howe, incredible when it comes to the high pressing style, so a higher tempo is needed. Time wasting set to sometimes, because Newcastle do their fair bit of time wasting, as you can see here. I mean, they're not afraid to, you know, to waste a little bit of time. In terms of the final third, this is purely up to you, in my opinion. I'd say they probably use a mix, so that is why I've gone with it, because I don't think they always put it in the air. Possibly, maybe a little bit more on some occasions, but for the sake of it working in FM to the best it can, mix crosses. Creative freedom, be more expressive, and in transition, we're going to have counter press. Obviously, we're a pressing team. Counter when we've got the ball, because this way you can see here the players that fly forward. It's obviously going to be the front three, two of the midfielders, and the fullbacks running at that back line. And we're going to take short goal kicks, not distributing to any particular area, should I say, sorry, because obviously sometimes Nick Pope does just see a ball on and goes for it. Out of possession, we're going to have the standard line, the high press and line of engagement. Again, a high press, really important with the system, much more often on the trigger press, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and also get stuck in. So yes, this tactic is going to be incredibly intense on your players. That is why you need to have good depth and players that can hack it. But if you can manage to maintain the workload, the match load, and the intensity, you're going to have a tactic that will rarely let you down. Over to the attacking variant then, and this is going to be a tactic which I recommend you use if you've got a goal down or you're going into a game, for example, down on aggregate or something like that. I do want to quickly thank all of the Patreon members coming down the screen right now. These are going to be either new or existing Patreon members. Patreon's a great way to support me as a creator, and also you get some fantastic perks, including access to all 3 of these files in one simple download. You get all the tactics early. You also get priority in the rebuilds and tactic requests, one-on-one tactical help, and also access to the Patreon exclusive giveaways, which are going to start with a few copies of FM24. So do join it, do check it out. The link is in the description below. But let's go ahead and carry on with this tactic breakdown. So it is going to have an attacker mentality. In possession, it's going to be fairly wide, pass into space, overlap left and overlap right on this occasion, still playing out from the back. A shorter passing directness, still a maxed out tempo, but we've now got run at defense and be more expressive on. So we are really flying at that opposition. In transition, it's exactly the same. We have added on distribute quickly, and out of possession, we've gone with the high defensive line on this occasion. Still got the high press on, taken off the get stuck in, so I feel like it would be a bit too much on this occasion. And we've also got much more often and still got that prevention on the goalkeeper distribution. Now, in terms of the player roles, then there are going to be some changes. The first one is going to be pretty much, if you look at the default, there isn't going to be too many. There isn't going to be too many because I didn't want to really change too much about it because it completely transforms the way the tactic actually plays then. So realistically, the only change that comes in is going to be this deep line playmaker simply gets shifted to a supportive role, and that is literally it. And I had to be a bit careful of what I'd done with this attacking variant because the default one, the normal one, is also very, very attacking, and it's also very, very high pressing. So, for example, if I went onto this attacking one, had 2 Metzalas on attack, had a centre mid on attack as well, we'd get absolutely funked, especially since we're playing this higher line. So that is why it pretty much looks exactly the same. Everything really changes when it comes to the team instructions. Over to the defensive variant, where there are going to be some changes in both aspects. And the first one is going to be a balanced mentality. In possession, we're going to have standard, pass into space, playing out from the back, still going to be a thing, a shorter passing directness, a slightly lower tempo because now we're focusing on sort of sealing out the game, play for set pieces, and of course, time waster now maxed all the way too frequently. In transition, we're going to have counter press still being a thing because that is the DNA of the team. We're still going to hit him on the counter, but when the goalkeeper's got the ball, we're going to slow the pace down, still taking short goal kicks. Out of possession, we've got the standard line, the high press and line of engagement. Get stuck in is going to be on just to win the ball back, and then once we've got it, we can start to time waste, you know, play up to the ref, etc, etc. Trigger press is going to be on standard, but still preventing goalkeeper distribution. In terms of the player roles, there are going to be a couple of changes. Again, nothing too drastic, to be honest with you. You can probably see all of them right now. So again, a little memory refresher. This is going to be the normal one. This is the one you're going to be going into all your games with. But the defensive variant is going to look like this. So the only changes are going to be players going down to the supportive role, really. And that is going to be Jolinton goes to a support on tackle harder. The inverted winger goes on support on sit narrower. And Harvey Barnes, the inside forward on the left, goes on sit narrower. Isaac, the pressing forward, goes on support, on pass it shorter, and shoot more often. And essentially, this is just to have more people back defending. Obviously, not as aggressive, not as going forward, but still having enough presence for those counter-attacks. And again, I didn't like to change too many positions, or any in fact, because this is exactly how I think Eddie Howe does line up. So that is going to give you 3 fantastic Eddie Howe 4-3-3s.